Hey there, www.andrewmartinmusic.com. This is a Riffvlog on how Christian men should treat women, and especially the women they love, and their wives. Now, just a caveat, I'm 61 and haven't been married, so, I'm probably not an expert per se on this. But in my opinion, this information is coming straight from the all truth of existence, from what I call the Aeon Christ. I'm doing this Riffvlog this morning because it sickens me that Hollywood and a certain group of people that run Hollywood have so blackwashed and tarnished the Christian faith. And I'm a Christian Gnostic, and I take issue with, certain metaphysical ideas within Christendom, but I do share that Christ is the Word. He's the Logos. He's the beginning of all things. So I am a Christian in that sense, and I do believe that for the most part, I am Christ-like. Now, that's a complicated issue, especially when you living in a demiurgic matrix type existence, where the archons, as you're running this race of life, stick their foot out on purpose intentionally to trip you up, and they invert laws, and they take truth and they invert it, and it's just general malfeasance on their part. But I want to set the record straight. I know that there's a certain audacity in that statement, but it has to be said. Now, Christian men, your woman, hopefully to be your wife, is someone you adore. She should be the crowning glory of your life upon the earth. And all things in your relationship have to be mutual and negotiated. You are not allowed, by the Spirit of truth, to dictate the terms of this relationship to your wife. If she does not want 10 children, you do not have 10 children. You negotiate what kind of relationship you're going to have within the context of your marriage. A very major important aspect of this is how Christians should have lived, and this is the great failure of Christendom, especially in modernity, but it's not a random accident. All Christian men should have had private property rights by law as a birthright. And this would have set up the conditions for a family life and for their wives to not have to be slaves to usury and rent seekers. It's basically the inversion by the archons of what women should be within the present system. And they declare this as a great victory for women when it's actually a cosmic tragedy. So if you can imagine a world where all Christians had a piece of land as a birthright, and they were allowed to, and they were taught and allowed to live on that land and be productive and raise their families in mutual respect with their wives, they would not be slaves to money lenders through mortgage seeking. And look at the etymology of the word mortgage. It's basically more of this death cult of the religion of money. And this is how Christendom should have been, but the money lenders have waged a long and consistent war against Christian men. In today's world, that kind of looks like, now, don't take this too literally, I'm being a bit facetious. It's Christian men against the female legal system that has been put in place. So yes, it's an interesting dynamic. So, I'm not the first person to say this. There was a Catholic social teaching mid-century in the 1800s, I believe, called distributism, which said the only way to guarantee spiritual freedom and liberty is through private property rights. And I agree with that. All Christian men should have had as a birthright. All people. I mean, in my blogging today, it's a universal Christ, so these are universal ideas. All people should have had by birthright, a piece of land, and be taught how to live healthily and productive on their lands. And this would have been a healthy Christendom. The only way, in my opinion, it could have been healthy, living within a demiurgic construct. And let me define that. This is, in normative Christian terms, this is a world that is clearly the trademark of Satan. In other words, Satan owns this world. So when Jesus was in the desert, Satan didn't offer him California, it offered him the whole world. Jesus clearly said that Satan will deceive the whole world. He didn't say Satan would deceive California. He said it's going to deceive the whole world, and that means you too. You have been deceived. Now, I'm not going to get into that aspect of the deception in this video. I can, nudge people towards Bobby's YouTube channel, Good God channel, where he clearly argues the nature of Yahweh and how that has played out in a toxic culture. So yes, that you now are informed about how Christian men should be in relationship with their women. I can't think of a more healthy way to be in relationship than that one, where the focus of your life is your wife and your family and the land that is a birthright to you. And you get to actually, in that context, live Christ-like, how Christ would want you to live. I mean, if Christians think that Christ wants them to be usurers and money lenders and rent seekers seeking economic rents, all the ways that the demiurgic money lenders have created economic rents, then they are so deluded. It's not even worth talking to them anymore. They're just lost as far as any knowledge. And this goes to the idea of stealing the theft of labor via what's called surplus value. This does not make me a Marxist. I've just made it clear that the only way to guarantee freedom for Christian men is private property. Do you see how that is not Marxism? Please, people. This isn't to say that Marx wasn't right about a lot of things that he was saying. But he was an insider. He was a Rothschild. Of course he understood money and finance. He knew what was going on, and he was right about surplus value. And it's one thing if an atheist wants to practice these economic ideas. I don't have an issue with that. I'm speaking entirely to Christians, especially Christian men. And these lines of thought go to anybody who considers themselves spiritual. And if you're a Buddhist and you think that the current Ponzi scheme of economics is right action and right thinking, then you are also entirely deluded. It's the opposite of wisdom. It's the opposite of Prajna, what's going on here. It's a death cult, and it needs to be exposed, and the truth needs to be put out there. And the blackwashing of how Christian men should be living here needs to end. The light needs to shine on what it means to be a Christian man in relationship with your wife in your family and the land. So that's AndrewMartinMusic.com. We're Riffvlog this morning as a consequence of COVID economics, predatory economics out in the woods. So I'll leave it at that. Peace out.